Hi, my name's Jules and I'm from Storytelling Schools, and I'm going to just show you how I get from a book that we're reading in class, our class story, into writing an extra chapter for that book. So we were working with a book called Varjak Paw. It's all about a cat who's never really been outside, and they have to go outside and find a dog. He thinks that finding a dog will help him to solve the problem he has, which is bad people have come into his home and seem to be taking over. So they're taking over his very sick owner, and all the other cats are stuck in the house, and there are even evil cats in the house, and he thinks a dog will solve his problem. So he goes out to find a dog. And this is an extra chapter we wanted to write for the story using the characters that we already knew. So how do we teach that kind of writing? Well, the first thing that we did was we talked about, well, we had a first edit. So this shows you what children do the first time and what happens if you give them another chance at writing the same piece. So we talked about what an item might look like a bin or a lorry, if you'd never seen it before. And I got them to sort of write a thing to describe it. Big box on back for the lorry, metal with a clang sound, as still as a statue. They just sort of did some basic description to begin with. And then we did an imaginary process. Imagine sitting on the wall, you're looking down at these unknown things you've never seen before, and you're about to leap into that world of outside the gates, and you don't know what anything is, and you're quite scared. So we're just looking at that for the first time. So they wrote this by themselves. Sitting on the ledge of the wall, he saw everything: the grass, the flowers, the building, and cherry blossom trees. Then he pounced down, blue legs flung into the air and landed with a bump. He sniffed everything in sight. Varjak heard a yowling sound. He followed the sound. It led to a valley and two cats jumping on a metal tube with a clang. So that was her first go. And then we actually had a go by looking at what we'd done before and seeing if we could make it better the second time. So this is her extra part here, exploring the world, she wants to add in. So sitting on the ledge of the wall, he saw everything: the grass, the flowers, the buildings, and loads of cherry blossom trees. Then he pounced down, blue legs flung into the air and landed with a bump. She's improved on that because she's made it more visual. He sniffed everything in sight. Varjak heard a yowling sound. He followed the sound. It led to a valley and two cats jumping on a metal tube with a clang. He batted the metal tube and, "Hey, what you doing?" It was a very fat cat from behind the bin. So again, she's forgotten to put this in, exploring the world, but she has had another go and made it better. And she's extended it as well. And having a second go at things can be really useful. And later on, this green is for later on when they went back and fetched sentences they'd written before to use later. So that was the first exercise. Just have a think about what it's like going into the wide outside world when you've never been there before. Then the next piece of writing, we had a very boring grammar lesson to do. Prepositions. And I thought, well, how can we use prepositions to help us in our writing about going into the world? And I thought, well, let's use them as starters, because we also had to look at the way we start sentences and try and vary them. So we did I put up some pictures. I used the book. I went onto Google Images and I said, Varjak Paw images, cats. And I found drawings that were already scanned in. I didn't need to take photos. I just pulled them off there and I put them up on the board, and we said, right, let's look at the things that are there and see if we can use a preposition accurately for each of the pictures. So, beyond the Contessa's house, Varjak sneaked, scratching. So this is the important bit, beyond. She's done beyond, he's used a comma, and she's tried to write a sentence about it. I modelled it, they had a go. On top of a bin, black and white cat was staring. Skywards from a skyscraper, another pitch black cat was growling. They scowled down, eye to eye, growling at each other. They're lovely. Went behind the bin, hoping no one would see him. He hopped on the bin till he was down. The cat was close. So we nearly at the top. So we used our prepositions in lots of sentences, and they just tried to be as adventurous as they could. But it's useful writing because later we're going to put it into what we're going to do. So we've done prepositions, but we've made them useful. Then we did a spine poem. So if you've watched the one about the robot story, you'll have seen this before. Here is the word eyes, paws, tail, fur. And those ones are for a nice cat. Then it repeats, eyes, ears, claws, teeth, fur. This is for a nasty cat. So we decided those were the parts of the body we were going to discuss. I wrote this kind of thing on the flip chart, and they were copying down the ones they liked that they might want to use. So we brainstormed adjectives to go with the eyes. Light, friendly, heartfelt, calm, amber, encouraging. So these are words that were nice adjectives. They go on this side, and then this side are words that are verbs. So watching, encouraging. Then ears, fluffy, silky. They're playing. Then we had paws, gentle, cute. She's mixed up the way around. They would have been written on this side. Adjectives live on this side. Stroking, washing, kneading. They would have gone on that side. Then the tail, poofy, cuddly, waggling. So she switched it around, but it doesn't matter. Warm, scuffy, firework, fluffy, soft, fur. So those are her words that she chose to describe. And then she did it again, but chose nastier ones. We chose nastier ones. I modelled it for them. Right, eyes. What adjectives could we use? Scary, red, blooded. And what are they doing? Creeping, narrowing. Claws. Okay, what might they be like? Broken, worn. What are they doing? Ripping, slashing, scrubbing. That's not a word, but it's quite nice. And it might be scraping, she's trying to say, and so on. And so we gathered words that could be a nice cat and a nasty cat, because we're about generating contrasting vocab in this lesson. Then they use that vocab to write. I think this was all in one day, and they wrote. I get them to write quietly by themselves. It's literally off you go, shh, for 15 minutes, and then you see what they can churn out in that time, because it's a first draft, and then we refine it and make it better. So I put on the board, Varjak met Fluffy and Dank. So I put it, Varjak met, and then gave them space for two names. Fluffy's the nice one, Dank is the not nice one. So trying to make two contrasting paragraphs. Fluffy had a soft lime eye, and the other one was amber. Varjak felt more calm and a bit braver. Fluffy had a fluffy silky fur that was smooth. Her paws were tapping a noodle box lid that was thrown out of the cafe next door. Her paws were squishy, padded, soft and smooth. Her tail was poofy and puffy, and her fur was a firework. It's nice. Dank, so this is the contrasting one, was different to all the cats in the whole city. Her eyes were narrow, always glazing at other cats. Her eyes were always twitchy and sharp. Her prickly, worn-out claws were broken. They always ripped things up and scraped iron trees. Her teeth were stinky and damaged. Her fur was rough and spiky. Dank's fur was blood red. No one could resist it. So she's done some nice contrast there. One definitely sounds safer than the other. This is going to be useful later, so we keep that and we keep going. Then we start to plan our chapter for Varjak Paw. So here's the introduction. Then the next thing that happens is they go out and explore. So usually I use a introduction, middle one, middle two, middle three, middle ending. So introduction, introduce the characters. Middle one, introduce the danger. Middle two, develop the danger. Middle three would be solve the problem, and the ending is so that we know everybody's happy afterwards. But in this case, it was a chapter of a bigger story, so it didn't need to come to a nice soft ending. So we have the introduction to outside, we have exploring the outside, we meet the two cats, then the cats help him eventually, and then they go and find a dog, but the dog has to get over the wall to get back in the house. So that's the chapter that we mapped out. Then, this is the one where I said to them, okay, we're going to have a whole hour of writing. It's going to be a silent hour. You know what you're going to write about. And we have already been back through the book, and we have highlighted some of the sentences we thought were really useful. Some of the sentences we're planning to reuse in our storytelling today. So you know they're there. And so there's a few more here, and we've even labelled them. One is the first page we need to use. So there's one is the first page we're going to use, and then 2 is the second page we're going to use, and then 3 is the third page we're going to use. So we know where to find them. And then that was basically off you go. And I gave them a piece of paper that we've stuck in with sellotape, because I needed them to be able to flick through their book and take their page with them, so they didn't have to keep going back and forth. They could actually lay them side by side. So, sitting on the ledge of the wall, Varjak saw everything. The grass, the flowers, the buildings, the oak trees. Then he pounced down, blue legs flung in the air. No regrets, he thought. When he landed, he closed his eyes. He saw a cat and recognised where he was. Mesopotamia. I am Jalal, that's his helper, said the cat. Varjak got braver. I'm Varjak. He woke up. When he woke up, he heard a yowling sound. Varjak followed the noise. It led him to an alleyway. There he saw a bunch of cats staring at him. Silence. Silence. Then a cat said, approach. Thousands of cats were galloping towards him. They scowled down from the bin, eye to eye, growling at each other. He ran. When he got out of the alleyway, the cats backed away. Ha! Said Varjak, breathing heavily. Ha! Said a cat in the alleyway. Grumbled, grumbled, grumbled. Varjak knew it was a dog. And so on. So there's a sense of building what they're capable of. And these paragraphing is there because they kind of know that's the next section, and they do the next section in a paragraph. So it's not the best writing you've ever seen, but it is developing. And because I'm teaching them all of the skills they need to do before they have to do the writing, it's going to be at a higher level than it would have been if we'd have just written it straight off. And that's how storytelling works. You kind of build the story, we tell the story a lot, we get really familiar with the story, we show them how to write different bits in the story, and then we say, okay, you've got all the skills you need, off you go.